Hello, I have some words for you about anger. Some of us lose control when we're in the midst of our anger. I've seen children and adults completely lose it to the point that they weren't even present in the midst of their anger. A few hours later, they're embarrassed and ashamed of what they did. They were that out of control. Some of us have that kind of anger. We just lose it. Does it help us in any way? Not really. There's another kind of anger. Most of us have this kind, the sneaky kind, the kind that festers inside of us, the kind that creeps up into our daily lives. It's in our minds. We're thinking about it. We're not showing it to anybody, but it's there. Sometimes it's present in our dreams. Sometimes we're speaking to the person we love and we're thinking about the person we're angry at. That's no way to live. Anger is not a positive emotion. Anger does nothing good for us. Is it a natural human emotion? Of course it is. People are going to do things that upset us. It's common every day in traffic. We can find things to be angry about in traffic. We can find things to be angry about at work. Those of us who have children, we know we can find things to be angry at. The point is that we need to find out how to deal with our anger. Sometimes it's as simple as looking at the bigger picture and understanding that there's something else that we can do and not just react to what people do that upset us. It takes some training. Again, it takes mental discipline. But sometimes we just need to be still when people are angering us. And it isn't easy. In fact, it's the most difficult thing that I've had to learn to do. And I don't do it right all the time. But I try to teach my students how to manage their anger in the classroom, because you can't learn when you're angry. And I try to teach them how to just be still and allow people to say the things that they're going to say. People are going to be cruel to each other. They're going to do it. So what are you going to do when someone's cruel to you? Are you going to react? Are you going to hit them? Are you going to do something that perhaps will land you behind bars? Many people are in jail today because of things that they did in a moment of anger, things that they would normally not do at all. We need to learn how to calm that down. We need to learn how to discipline our thoughts so that in a moment of anger, instead, we think of the positive. We think of something different. And some of us have to almost play a little trick with our minds. We have to think about the bright side of life. We have to be calm when someone is bringing that to us. Let me give you an example we can all relate to. Anyone who has a driver's license will certainly understand this. Either we do something in traffic that really upsets someone else, or someone else in traffic does something that really upsets us. And you know, we can honk our horn, we can yell. Sometimes we even see people doing things with their fingers that aren't that nice. All kinds of things are happening in traffic. And it's really just another example of anger. Being present in the car, being present in our moment of life when we are trying to get somewhere. And what we need to do is we need to understand that we don't have to be angry. We don't have to react. I had some friends visiting from out of town not too long ago, and they were surprised at how many people in South Florida, where I live, honk their horns. And don't just honk it, beep, beep, honk it, beep, beep, really maddening. They couldn't understand it. This is what we live with every day because people are mad, they're upset, they're trying to get places. Life is difficult. So what are we going to do? We need to find a moment of stillness. We need to find a moment of stillness in the anger because anger can fester within us. Anger can make us ill. Anger can actually produce bodily symptoms, and it will affect our personal relationships. It isn't a positive emotion. It doesn't bring us any good. We need to learn to have the mental discipline to overcome it. How do we do that? We need to start thinking about positive thoughts. We need to start imagining our daily lives free of anger. In fact, let's not even use that word. Let's walk in peace every day. Let's have harmony for our fellow human being. Let's not even use the word anger. Let's begin to think of ways that we can pattern our day early in the morning as we're driving to work Start thinking about harmony and peace, and knowing that as we walk into that workplace and run into that individual that we know we have been angered by, let's begin to look at that and say, what am I going to do today to make things different? What am I going to do today to be able to stay in a moment of peace within myself while this individual is angry with me, or while this individual is angry because he's just angry? We don't always understand it, but there's one thing that I know, and it's the only anger that you can control is the anger within yourself. And if you get angry at someone else, you get reaction. You get reaction from them, and the anger increases. So there's more anger being built. If we could just learn to find the moment of stillness within ourselves when people are angering us, when people are angry at us, if we could just learn to find that moment of stillness, we can change it and turn it around. It doesn't happen all at once. It takes some time. We have to work with it. And sometimes we're going to do really well. And some days we're going to come home at the end of the day and say, wow, look at that. I was really able to turn that around. I didn't feel anger once. And some days we're going to come home and be like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do differently tomorrow? What can I do tomorrow so that I don't feel that anger? It's a process. We need to work with it every day. But anger is for sure one of the most destructive emotions that we can feel. So we need to just say goodbye to it like an unwanted guest. And whenever it comes into our mind, and whenever that person who did us wrong, that friend who stabbed us in the back, that person who destroyed our lives as far as we're concerned, comes into our mind, we need to say, no, you have no place in my thoughts, and just boost them out. The most fascinating thing that I found out in 20 years of educating is that we can control our thoughts. And by controlling our thoughts, we control our emotions and we control everything. As soon as we learn to control anger, we learn to control our day, because anger will creep up if we're not careful. So my word for you about anger is say goodbye to it. Tell it doesn't belong in your world. When it comes into your mind, think happy thoughts.